Hello guys and welcome to I'm a Biker, and today we are here to talk about a rather surprising motorcycle from Royal Enfield, the Royal Enfield Goan Classic 350. Well, who is it for? What is this motorcycle all about, and what a surprise from Royal Enfield? Let's dig into the details. So the Goan Classic 350, well, like the name, the Classic 350, there's a lot, or it is pretty much the Classic 350, but yeah, some changes. First, obviously, you'll see they like to call it the ape handlebars, but it's not like full ape. Full ape is like up there. This is like rather relaxed, it's not that bad. And then you have the 16-inch wheels at the rear, and both the tires now come with white walls. These are not painted white, the rubber is actually white. So from factory, from the manufacturer itself, it comes as white. Then of course the rear section is kind of sliced off, and you have like a nice low seat. Seat height is really low, probably about 755 mm. So it's about 55 mm lower than the Classic 350, standard Classic 350. And of course the exhaust note is different, which is actually quite nice. Pillion seat, well, in the launch photos you would not have seen it, but there is actually a pillion seat. It's very small. I would like to call it a seat for a laptop bag rather than a pillion seat, because there is no space, real space for normal sized adults. And yeah, then of course you have these funky colors. The teal one, which is really stands out, looks nice. The black is what we had for the shoot. And then there is the black and maroon, and then there is also a little bit more funky color. Let me just find out the name for you. The purple is, but it's a bit low-key than the remaining. Of course, black is the most low-key. The wheelbase is also slightly longer, I think about 5 mm something, and not a huge difference when it comes to this motorcycle, this type of cruiser. And I think probably the biggest highlight, along with the change of the wheels and everything, is that it's got tubeless spokes, or wire spokes as it's becoming known as popular these days. But in India it's like tubeless spokes. We waited a lot for it to come on the Himalayan, but yeah, this one from factory, this is standard, and it comes with tubeless spokes, so that is definitely much welcome. So what is this motorcycle all about? I mean, Royal Enfield kept it a very good secret, right? I mean, we saw a couple of spy shots and everything, but nobody really knew what it's all about. Well, this is all about the simple, old school Goan feel. Basically, back in the day, before the rider manias and everything, there was this whole foreigner crowd who used to modify their bikes, into these old chopper style bikes, and sort of like a rollover from what the Americans used to do with their Harleys. So the Harleys are not accessible here, and then Royal Enfields are quite cheap and easy to modify. And there were a lot of them settled in Goa, and they used to go like crazy with these bikes. So it sort of set a trend, and which went into other parts of the country as well. Of course, there are a lot of people modifying the Royal Enfields at the time, but over here, they used to go a little bit crazy with it. This basically is trying to tap into those vibes, and these modifications is what really brought people closer to the Royal Enfield brand. And so this is basically something like paying respects to that whole culture that was there and still is going on. So enough of that boring history lesson. So let's get into what this motorcycle is all about. Well, technically it is the Classic 350 with the changes that I told you earlier. So how does it ride? Actually very similar, but yeah, a couple of things that you should know is that this is primarily a one-person bike. The way it is set up, and it feels best when ridden alone. The rear suspension, I think the Classic 350 always had a real comfortable rear suspension, especially if you're riding it within the limits of how it needs to be ridden, like 0 to 80, maybe once short burst to 100 and things like that. But the Goan Classic 350, or the Goan 350, let's call it, for easy communication. The Goan, what happens is that it feels the rear is too hard, and you sort of feel it. It's not as bad as something like the Super Meteor, but yeah, this one's much more stiffer. For some reason, the engine on this also feels a little bit more stressed. I don't know how to explain it, but the moment you ride it, you don't feel that elegance and that flowing nature of the Classic 350. This one's a bit more stressed, although the power spec, the power torque, everything is the same. Yeah, you might say it's because of the wheel size, the shorter wheel size, but what Royal Enfield have said is that even though they have dropped down the wheel size, it's a 16-incher now, the tire profile size is rather tall, which basically meant that they didn't have to change the gearing, and it pretty much resembles the stock wheel size of the Classic 350. But yeah, that said, it does feel a little bit more stressed, and maybe I don't want to say rough around the edges, but yeah, that's what it feels like compared to the Classic 350. Yeah, and coming to the handling, well, these are not proper ape handlebars, like I told you. It's not like high up there where you go like, but yeah, these are like pretty normal stance, if maybe a little bit higher than a street naked kind of a thing. So you don't feel stressed out, you don't feel weight on your shoulders. So it's kind of relaxed. Once you start riding it, you feel like, okay, it's not a big deal. And coming to the handling, yeah, it handles well. It handles like slightly different than the Classic 350. It feels a little bit more engaging in terms of when you want to do some navigation in the city traffic. But brakes also pretty much standard, nothing really different, nothing really new to report from the Classic 350 or technically that whole stretch of bikes. A lot of in the 350 platform, right? But yeah, pretty much all same there. Feels good, dual channel ABS is good, much welcome, right? And tires also, in terms of the grip they provide and all, for daily use, for almost everything that you want to do with, except probably for extreme harsh conditions, these hold up very well. So guys, who is the Goan Classic 350 for? Well, for me, when I see that bike and see the history that has been narrated by Royal Enfield, I see somebody staying at a place like some place like Goa, of course, or maybe some coastal town, a tier 2 city, tier 3 city, who's not too worried about long rides, who's not too worried about the biker style or the biker attitude, or he just wants a chilled out bike. He's a chilled out person. He wants a funky looking bike. He's wearing his flip flops, he's wearing his Bermuda, he's wearing a nice flowery t-shirt, he's got a ciggy in his mouth, and he's got like maybe Albert, who knows. But he's just chilling, and he just wants to meet his friends in the evening. It's just about 15-minute ride, and he just goes there, and this is not his daily use bike. This is just his once in a while commute to the shop, commute to meet his friends. That sort of a bike, a very happy, slow-paced life, a slow-paced, entire everything surrounding this bike is very slow-paced, and I see that sort of a lifestyle, not for probably the fast-paced, busy city life or the touring life or things like that. That's the image when I see Royal Enfield's the Goan Classic 350 is in front of me. A simple, relaxed, a much more, maybe even a retired life where you're like, duk, let me go there. Maybe let me go sit at the beach for a while, meet some friends and things like that. So that's the image in my head. And I think that's what Royal Enfield is intending as well, because I don't see this being a very practical one bike that you're going to use for your commute, that you're going to use for your long rides, because the rear suspension sort of really reduces the touring character of it. And of course, the lack of a rear pillion seat, there is a pillion seat, but it is not just for the pillion, right? I mean, when you're touring, that pillion seat and basically that whole last end section provides strong place for your saddlebags and any other luggage you want to tie to the seat and things like that. So this one's not that kind of a motorcycle. This one's more of, like what I said, a chilled out, once in a while, short ride, couple of kilometers kind of a bike. And I believe there are a lot of people who are like that, who are not bothered by this whole biker thing that's going on, who just want something very relaxed and who are, not intense, who just like, hey man, how are you? What's up? Chill. That sort of a vibe. So that's what this whole bike is about to me. Is it for me? Well, no, actually. In fact, the Classic 350 I loved a lot, the new one especially. But yeah, this one's probably not my style. This one's a bit too much chilled out for me, right? And for me, yeah, pillion seat is also very important. So yeah, guys, that's what the Goan Classic 350 is all about. If you have any questions, do let us know. We'll definitely get them. Do check out our website. Do check out autostreet.in. They are the sponsors for this video. And I'll see you in the next one.